Hey folks, this is part 2 of the interval tutorial. Last video I broke down what an interval basically is, how to think about intervals, how to visualize them on the keyboard, and we looked at 3 intervals: the minor second, major second, and the augmented second. Now for the next series of intervals we're going to look at in part 2 and part 3, we're going to be looking at thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, and sevenths, which are essentially combinations of whole steps and half steps. So we're going to start with thirds and fourths in this video. A major third is 2 whole steps. So we'd say that a major third above C is E. How come? Whole step, C to D, plus a whole step, D to E, gives us a major third. And you can do this in either direction. We'll do just major thirds ascending at first. So as a rule of thumb, whole step plus whole step equals a major third. So if we were to choose, I don't know, the note A flat, we would simply go up 2 whole steps from it to get the major third above. So let's say that you're trying to figure out what's the major third above A flat. Simply think, what's a whole step above A flat? Well, that's B flat. What's another whole step above that B flat? C. Oh, whole step plus another whole step gives us a major third. So we would say that a major third above A flat is C. To use another example of an ascending major third, let's start on the note E. Now, I'm going to wait and I want you to figure out what a whole step plus whole step or a major third above this note would be. If you guessed G sharp, you are correct. That's because E to F sharp is a whole step, and F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. So whole step plus whole step gives us a major third. Therefore, G sharp is a whole step or major third above E. Now we can apply this same principle descending. So if we wanted to say major third below a note, we would simply go a whole step plus a whole step below whatever note we're on. So if I'm on the note D, a whole step below that would be C, and a whole step below that would be B flat. So we would say that B flat is a major third below the note D. Right? Starting on another note, let's say we're doing A sharp. We would say that a major third below A sharp is F sharp, because a whole step below A sharp is G sharp, and a whole step below that G sharp is F sharp. Sonically, if you want to think about what's the sound of a major third, a doorbell, right? And I realize there's a lot of different types of sounding doorbells, but the classic is a good way to remember the sound of a major third. Okay, so we've talked about the major third. Let's talk about a minor third. A major third is a whole step plus a whole step. A minor third is a whole step plus a half step. So we would say that a minor third above C is the note E flat. To use some more examples of ascending minor thirds, let's start on F sharp. Now remember that the formula is a whole step plus a half step. Take a few seconds to think about what would be a minor third or a whole step plus a half step above F sharp. So if you guessed A, you are correct. That's because whole step plus a half step gives us a minor third. So a minor third above F sharp is A. We can also do minor thirds descending. So if we start on the note F, a minor third below would be D. Whole step plus a half step. Another example of a minor third descending might be B flat to G. G is a minor third below because whole is B flat to A. Oh, excuse me, B flat to A flat, and then a half is A flat to G. So those are minor thirds. So we've covered two of the most common types of thirds. There's another very rarely encountered interval. It's like the augmented second we talked about in the last video, called a diminished third, but it's something you will occasionally encounter. And we're going to use the note G sharp as an example. Now remember one of the rules we established in the last video. You always want to think about the musical alphabet first. So if you're ascending from the letter G in the musical alphabet, and this could be any type of G. This could be a G natural, a G flat, or in this case a G sharp, right? But as long as it has the note name G, right? If we're going up a third in the alphabet, we're going to go G, A, B. So any third above any type of G is going to be some type of B. Now how does this play into the diminished third? Well, we talked about the augmented second as a major second or a whole step, and then augmenting or raising that a half step to give us an augmented second. Diminished is the opposite. Whenever you see diminished, it means we're lowering something, right? So let's take the smallest third we've worked with so far, which is a minor third. So let's say we're on G sharp. A minor third above G sharp, or a whole step plus a half step above that, would be B. Now, if I want to diminish or lower this B, lower this third, I'm going to move it down a half step. Now, you might be thinking, Jason, you're playing a whole step. Isn't that a major second? If we say G sharp to A sharp, then yes. But if we say G sharp to B flat, no. G sharp to B flat is a diminished third because if we think of the musical alphabet, the letters G, A, and B are 3 letters apart. So G sharp to B flat is a good example of a diminished third. Okay, so now we're going to continue with fourths. Fourths include the perfect fourth and the augmented fourth. And they're pretty straightforward. We're going to use the same process combining whole steps and half steps that we did with the minor third and major third. So a perfect fourth is a whole step plus a whole step plus a half step. So you can just think whole, whole, half. So if we're starting on the note C, a perfect fourth above that would be F. Sonically, you can remember a perfect fourth as "Here Comes the Bride," right? That's an easy sonic cue. But in terms of the interval construction, what we're looking at is whole step plus a whole step plus a half step. So C to F is a perfect fourth. Same thing going the opposite direction. So a whole step plus a whole step plus a half step. So a perfect fourth below C is going to be G. Some other examples of perfect fourths. A to D. This is a perfect fourth ascending. If we want to go a perfect fourth below A, E would be the answer. To give you some practice, I'm going to pick another note and ask you to figure out the perfect fourth above or below it. So we're going to go to E flat. Take a few seconds to think about a perfect fourth above this note. If you guessed A flat, that is correct. Whole plus half. So we'd say that A flat is a perfect fourth above E flat. Going perfect fourth below E flat, take a few seconds to figure that one out. If you said B flat, you are correct. That is because a whole plus a half below E flat is this B flat. Okay, and the last fourth we're going to talk about is what we refer to as an augmented fourth. The interval formula is 3 whole steps. So if we're starting on the note C, whole step plus a whole step plus a whole step. So an augmented fourth above C is F sharp. Same direction, or excuse me, same interval formula, but going the opposite direction, descending. So whole step, whole step, whole step. We went 3 whole steps up, whole, to get C to F sharp. So we'd say an augmented fourth above C is F sharp. An augmented fourth below C, or whole step, is G sharp. Now you might be saying, Jason, you're also playing, G flat. You might be saying, Jason, you're playing an F sharp. Why are you calling it a G flat? Again, the musical alphabet is critical here in our note naming. C to B to A to G. That's 4 apart, right? So an augmented fourth above C is F sharp, 3 whole steps, and an augmented fourth below C is G flat, also 3 whole steps.